So let us discuss about real-time operating system architecture. This is an improvement version of the function queue scheduling architecture that we discussed in the last video. The disadvantage that we had with the function queue scheduling architecture was that high priority interrupt was not able to preempt the low priority interrupt when low priority interrupt was getting serviced, and high priority interrupt needed the attention of the processor. So it was not able to preempt the low priority task, and then it had to wait for the completion of the low priority interrupt task. Now that is overcome in the case of real time operating system architecture. So basically you have a dedicated RTOS. Okay, you have a dedicated RTOS for that one. So real time operating system architecture. So that it will have one vector table. So in this vector table, basically what you have is that different tasks will have different priorities that is assigned. For example, task A is assigned 1 priority, task B is assigned 2nd priority, task C is assigned maybe some 3rd priority. So what I can just write is that, so this is basically some high priority, and this is basically some middle priority, second one, and this is basically some low priority. So what happens here is, so in this case, it is similar to the function queue scheduling architecture. That means the overall line that you have. So as you can observe here, here also you have the different ISRs, ISR for the device A, then ISR for the device B. Similarly, you have of course you have different ISRs for the different devices. Now this is task code. So you have task code for the device A and task code for the device B here. So what happens here is that how this is preemption is done here. So in the case of real time operating system architecture, okay, so before I discuss about the real time operating system architecture, the disadvantage that you had with the function queue scheduling architecture was, as I said earlier, the preemption was not possible. How the preemption was not possible? See here, if I have a queue here, like for example this is the queue, okay, in this queue maybe even though the interrupts are being raised by, see, okay, whatever that is written in the function queue scheduling architecture, here the main thing that you have to note is that how the functions are put in the function queue of the function pointers. If function A is put up, first for example function A is put up in the function queue, then this is going to be picked up first. Function B is going to be picked up, then B is going to be picked up next. C is put up in the 3rd block, then C is going to picked up 3rd. If D is put up in the 4th block, then D is going to be picked up. See, what you have to understand here is that this ordering that you put is, that is basically you only put it because you know that function, the task A, the input output device A, that needs a urgent attention, the response time is very critical, so that time definitely you put that A in the first slot here. So that's why you call the first function on the queue here, because you know that actually this is going to be of the high priority interrupt. Now what happens here, this you put up, second one you put up in the 2nd slot. Now assume that actually this A has raised the request. Of course, since A has raised the request, B also has raised the request, C also has raised the request. Now all these devices, even though it raised the request, what is going to pick up first? That is the first function on the queue. Even though A, B, C, D all have raised the request, since you have put A in the first slot, A is going to be picked up first. Now next B is going to be picked up first. Okay, that is how actually it calls the first function, 2nd function, 3rd function and the 4th function. Even though all the devices, they may raise the request at a time, they won't be serviced. Only based on what function pointer is put up in the what slot of the queue, that is going to be picked up first. Okay, assume that actually A is getting serviced here. Then what is the disadvantage that you have it here? A is getting serviced here. Now assume that actually after A gets done, B is going to be picked up. When B is going to be picked up, it is getting serviced here. Okay, it is getting serviced. The B task or the B function, it is getting executed, and the B device, the request is getting serviced here. Assume that actually A wants the attention now. When it wants the attention now A, this slot is empty now because it has serviced here. A first it was put up here, then A is taken, then it is serviced here. Now assume B is getting serviced here. Now A wants your attention. of course it has the priority here. It can actually interrupt the processor. It takes care of the input, means it is going to answer that input output device, but microprocessor will not do any kind of action here. It just actually answers the call here, of the device A, put the function on the queue of the function pointers. Now this is definitely going to put up here. Now even though it is put up here, but B is getting serviced here. This will be executed parallelly. You put up the function A on the first slot of the queue here, but B is getting serviced here because B has raised the request after servicing the A request, B raised the request. Now when B raises the request, after B raised the request, if A wants the attention, when B is getting executed, this will not be considered, because what happens, this has come after B has been serviced. When B has been serviced, it has already called the second function. When it has called the second function in the queue, that is B is already picked up. When B is already picked up here, now this A device, if it interrupts the processor, if that function A is put up in the first slot, even the function is put up in the first slot, your B is getting serviced here. This A will not be able to preempt the execution of the B task and get it serviced, but that is not possible. So it has to wait until B gets over. When B gets over, this slot is empty here. Now what is put up in the first function? Now A is put up here. Definitely C will not be taken, but A will be taken, but still it has to wait for the low priority interrupt, completion of the low priority interrupt. That is a disadvantage that you had it in the function queue scheduling architecture. That disadvantage is overcome in the case of real-time operating system architecture. Now what happens here is that any of the devices, whenever it raises the interrupt through this signal, okay, of course different mechanisms are being employed. Just a pseudo code that has been written here, we just have written this signal X. Now signal X is raised whenever actually input output device A raises the request. When input output device B raises the request, you set the signal Y. Now what happens here is that this is, as I said earlier, this is ISR for the device A, ISR for the device B, task code for the device A, task code for the device B here. Now whenever actually this task code, whatever that is there here, what happens here is that when assume that actually A has raised the request. When A has raised the request, it will set the signal X. Okay. When set the signal X, it comes here while of true, then wait for the signal X is high here, it will handle the data to and from the input output device A. Now assume that actually next B only raised the request. When B raised the request, now assume that A is not raising the request. So A is the servicing of the interrupt A is over, B has raised the request. Now it will set the signal Y. So since signal X is set to low here, after of course in the code it is signal X is raised to low after you just actually service the device A. Now when signal Y is set here, because B has raised the request, it comes here, it wait for the signal Y is set high here. Now input output device B is being handled here. Now when input output device being is handled, assume that now A wants the attention of the processor. Okay, B is getting service, that is what you have to understand. B is getting service, now A wants the attention of the processor. A wants the attention of the processor when B is getting serviced here. Now this was not possible in the case of function queue scheduling architecture. We shall discuss how it is possible in the real-time operating system architecture. B is getting serviced, A wants the attention of the processor. Now what happens here is that when A wants the attention of the processor, now it is going to interrupt the processor through the interrupt request pin. When it interrupts the processor through the interrupt request pin, what happens here is that it answers that request. Now it sets the signal X. Whenever it sets a signal X, see this task code whatever you have written is independent of this task code. In the function queue scheduling architecture also it was independent, different functions you had written, but the problem was that all the function pointers were written in the same function queue, whereas here you are assigning different signals. That is a point that you have to understand here. You are assigning different signals for different devices. Now what happens here? Just observe here. Now this, if device A, now it has raised the request, it will set the signal X again. When it sets a signal X, now The beauty of this real-time operating system is that it will have different scheduling algorithms. Of course, we are not going to discuss about all the scheduling algorithms here. So you have different scheduling algorithms. What the scheduling algorithms do is that they are going to check for the vector table. When it checks the vector table, it is going to see which task is having the high priority. It sees that task A is having the high priority. So device A, that is, it has raised the request. Now what it does is that it is going to the scheduling algorithms, they are going to stop the execution of the B task and is going to pick up the task A. Of course, signal X is raised here, it is going to handle the data to and from the input output device A. When it stops the, this is what we say preemption of the task B by task A, that is high priority task A has preempted the low priority task B. Whenever actually this high priority task preempts it, low priority task B, of course whatever the it has to remember, because after servicing A it has to come back and service the B, it has to complete the execution of this task B. When it comes back here, it has to know where it had stopped. So all those contents what it had stopped before servicing the A, that is going to put up in the stack. Those all things actually it is going to push all the contents of the registers onto the stack and pop the contents from the stack when it resumes the servicing the task B. But one thing what you have to note down here is that this task A can preempt the task B. In the earlier case function queue scheduling architecture, this was not there. The B had to be completed, then only A was taking the service. But here now B can be preempted by the A. That is with the help, there are two things. One, signals, different signals are being set now and different task codes that you have. Another thing is that with the help of this real-time operating system and you have different scheduling algorithms, and with the help of vector table, these scheduling algorithms are going to see the vector table and see that which task is having the priorities, and based on that one then the respective tasks are going to be executed. In this case actually when A sees the, if C had interrupted, okay, in this case actually A is having high priority, so definitely A is going to picked up and is going to be serviced because A is having the high priority. In this case if C had interrupted the B task, it will not be serviced at all because scheduling algorithm is going to see that one task C is having the low priority than the task B. It will not encourage at all. It will then C has to wait for the completion of the execution of the device B, then only then C will be picked up. Okay, so this is how the high priority interrupt doesn't have to wait for the completion of the low priority interrupt, whereas in the case of function queue scheduling architecture, high priority interrupt had to wait for the completion of the low priority interrupt, whereas in the real time operating system architecture you don't have that one. Of course, you have different scheduling algorithms and then the real time operating systems, the handling of the threads, handling of the different tasks, those all things are part of the RTOS architecture, but we will not be going through all those things which is beyond the scope of our study here. So one thing what you have to, so overall picture, so what you have to understand is that RTOS is one of the beautiful architectures and of course very complex architecture which is used to handle the real time tasks. They are used to handle the real time tasks, they are used to handle the tasks which where deadline have to be met. They are used to handle the tasks where the response is very very critical. So those kind of things actually are handled by the real time operating system architecture. Of course it is complex, but it is where the response is very accurate, where the efficiency is required, effectiveness is required. So that case actually you can go for the real time operating system architecture. Okay, so this is it about the real time operating system architecture. Okay, fine, thank you.